Imagining a new and better and different energy future is tantalising, and as we all know in the room, realising it takes a lot of hard work. And what we've been doing is we have interviewed you all and we have produced these lovely reports. If I don't show you them and if you haven't read them already, shame on you. Marcia will come round later on and convince you to do it. So 10 years ago, presidents didn't tweet. These days we wish they didn't. 10 years ago, we understood BLTs. I did. Anyway, I used to eat them regularly for breakfast. These days we talk a lot about DLTs. The world is moving fast, and it's moving differently. Energy blockchain developments, as we have found, are now multiple, and they're very varied, and they're impacting across all different parts of the energy landscape. So it's unsurprising from the last round that we get different questions coming from different interests and perspectives in the energy system, not just within the electricity sector, but also more generally in other parts of the energy system. When we did our interviews with you, we found that there are 7 different use cases, 7 different user applications, everything from flexible trading platforms, emission trading systems, supply chain tracking, e-mobility, tokenization and project financing, Bitcoin mining, and peer-to-peer trading. And if you don't understand the terms, you can read the report. Second plug. If you get to 5, you give me a bonus. Right. We found there's different stages of commercialisation, but in general, some of them very near commercialisation, some of them within 18 months of commercialisation, but the peer-to-peer realities is the furthest away from commercialisation. And we found that there were some persistent misunderstandings, not in this room, perhaps, but in general, some people still confuse Bitcoin with blockchain. And that's a challenge as we take the communication side of these things forward. So we looked at the different perspectives, and we synthesised those, and we discovered that the future of energy blockchain and its fuller impact on energy systems, transition and transformation is potentially powerful but unpredictable, unsurprising perhaps to everybody in the room. And we find that technology feasibility issues are being worked out, we think will be worked out by the market, perhaps if we sort out the market design issues, but that consumer and regulatory issues are potentially the biggest barriers. What is it? We've had these questions about what is it for? We might ask who's it for? What are the consumer interests in this? Whether the consumers will trust it, who will be the consumer, and what sort of regulatory push factors are needed alongside the technology push factors. We came out with 4 plausible scenarios, and I want to be clear, by scenarios, I don't mean our visions of what we would like the future to be. I mean plausible alternative stories of the future context in which blockchain will be emerging, and that context will affect how and in what form and how the scale, scope and significance of blockchain as it emerges. So not visions and not forecasts. 4 plausible alternative scenarios, and to put them simply, we have 2 evolutions, 1 revolution and 1 dissolution. So let's talk about the dissolution. And that is, it's not that there's no play for blockchain, it's where we see really its role restricted into traditional energy markets, because really there's a lack of consumer appetite and the regulatory constraints are binding. It's a future in which consumer confidence isn't forthcoming, but there's a lot of application perhaps in increasing the efficiency within existing energy systems and trades. So that's the disillusionment scenario. One of the evolutions we call predictable disruption, and if you want to read more about these, they're in here. So predictable disruption is where we still have limited consumer appetite and trust and uptake, but we do have some regulatory movement, right? So we see blockchain is mainly used in existing business process optimization, and we see energy trading system registries and the like. The second evolution scenario we called niche evolution, which is we have more consumer trust, but we have less regulatory progress. And in this future, we see blockchain potentially remaining small scale, varied significantly from geography to geography in terms of where it's making its mark, and such that the technology dominates in key segments of different parts of the energy value chain. And the revolution? Transformative disruption is the name of the scenario. I am going to fire the people who named these scenarios. They're not in, I'm a shell scenario woman. We do this a little bit more interactively, but transformative disruption is the world in which technology is being, prototyping is being worked out by the market. We have consumer pull, we've got the age of the rise of consumerism, there's great demand for decentralised governance systems, there's a whole push towards transparency, and we have sufficient regulatory enablers. And in this revolution, we have the emergence of a fully transactive grid, accelerated by a fully digitalised infrastructure, and also the rise of consumers. But it's also important to remember that even as we head towards this revolution, there's more than one technology pathway for getting there. For some different futures in which blockchain is emerging. And some of you are betting on one, some of you might be thinking about more than one, and at the World Energy Council, we offer them as a platform for improving the conversations, not just about where do you want to go, but how can you cooperate to bring forward a better future for us all. That's all I'm going to say, John. Signing on?
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Angela.